Chief Constable, you must be bitterly disappointed at the continuing bad press that Essex Police are receiving about domestic violence and your approach to it.
I think there's been a recent HMI report that talks about some of the problems we identified last summer. I think some of the outstanding numbers of calls that we had have been reduced by 80%. Number of outstanding suspects is reduced by 50%. You know, the reason we're here today is because we've got to get rid of the stigma around domestic abuse, and because Essex Police remains committed to it. You know, we're investing £4 million into public protection. That's because we recognise that things needed to improve. That's not an organisation that's scared of harsh feedback.
So what then is the problem? Are you not, because of severe cutbacks, are you not able to throw enough dedicated officers into the domestic abuse central referral unit? What is the heart of the problem?
Well, it's not one problem. The problem is that for too long officers weren't trained in detective skills. It takes 2 years from when somebody is first identified to when they can actually start to investigate. We had problems with the standards of investigation in the north, which were identified from within the organisation. We had to put new people in there. They've had to be supported. I've had to find people from across the organisation and put them into domestic abuse and child abuse. We are really committed to making sure we get this right, and I'm not going to blame the amount of resources that's available. It's about us showing dedication to getting this right for the victims of crime. And actually there will be more harsh feedback, because there are other HMI reports, all from last year, many of them referring to the same issues. We're dealing with them, we've got a plan. The victims need to be sure they can come to Essex Police if they need to. As that sign says behind, together we can. We've got to stick together.
How can this new initiative then change the situation?
This initiative is about raising the profile of domestic abuse, making sure people don't feel isolated, making sure they know where the victim gateway is, and saying to them, all of the reports, all of the lessons that we've seen are sitting behind a massive plan around investment of millions of pounds, about training people, about getting better kit, better locations, joint working. And this, together with Essex County Council, together with the unitary authorities, mean this county is in a better place around domestic abuse and child abuse than it ever has been before.
What about protection orders? A lot of weight was put upon them. Have they made a big difference?
I think it's another example of how committed Essex Police is. Domestic violence protection orders with the highest number of applications for any force of our size in the country. We're only behind Greater Manchester and West Midlands Police. That shows the commitment from my officers. And they keep people safe while they're going through difficult times in their life. Together, with the right support from the council, the right support from education, the right support from others, we can give domestic abuse victims better support and get them away from the dangers they face. They shouldn't have to face them.
You must then be helping, at the moment, hundreds of domestic violence victims. But there always have some, like Maria Stubbings, seem to slip through the net.
You say always, but Maria's tragedy was many, many years ago. Since we've been trying to show this commitment, since we've been putting the resources in, you know, those are falling through the cracks far less often than before. The system's not perfect, it never will be. But together we can make a difference by sharing information more effectively, working with other agencies, and they're overwhelmingly giving those women, sometimes men, the right support in the right way.
What's your message now to somebody, a man or a woman who's suffering from domestic violence? What's your message to them?
My message is what it says on the poster behind me. With the County Council, with the authorities, together we can make a difference. With victim support, don't suffer in silence, come forward, talk to us and we'll keep you safe.
Nick Alston, you've got 9 weeks to go. What do you hope your legacy will be regarding safety of victims of domestic violence?
Well, I hope a real focus that we've brought to this work over the last 3.5 years. It's been a constant theme for us, hasn't it? Trying to increase the awareness of domestic abuse, trying to get people to have the confidence to speak up, to talk about it, trying to get Essex Police to improve their performance. More people now being arrested and charged with crimes. I'd love to have seen the number of victims coming down, but sadly we know it's still around the same level as when I took over. 80 or 85 incidents every day reported to Essex Police. Shocking number.
How on earth can the Chief Constable put more resources into it when he's being cut back by by government so much?
Well, we've managed to increase the funding, as you know. I've put the council tax up every year, and I'm not ashamed of that. It's the right thing to do, and I've kept pressure on the government to give us our fair share. I still think the funding formula isn't right. I think that Essex should get a little bit more money from the central pot, and I continue to argue that case with ministers. But the Chief Constable has to focus on the things where there's the highest harm, and he's consistently done that. Has that led to stresses elsewhere? Yes, it has. But do I apologise for addressing domestic abuse, child abuse, those hidden harms in our society? No, I don't.
Do you think money is being thrown at it to effectiveness?
Well, we've certainly moved resource into these whole areas of hidden harm, whether it's domestic abuse initially, then child abuse. And of course that's what's had such an impact at a local level on local policing. There still is good local policing, but there's less of it, and rightly the Chief Constable's reinvested it in those other areas of public protection.
How has the investment in personal cameras, webcams, mounted on policemen, as it were, how's that gone?
Well, the body-worn video, as we call it. I mean, I think it's gone well. We now have many hundreds of cameras out, and there'll soon be even more in other areas. But it's enabling us for the police to get more cases to court quickly. And when you see some of the results, it's clear why some perpetrators now plead guilty, why some victims are prepared to see the case going all the way to court, and when they do go to court, that it makes compelling evidence. So this is something we have to develop and do more of.
The Chief Constable has to report to you on all matters. Out of 10, how well have Essex Police done regarding fighting domestic abuse?
Well, it's for others to judge. I'm very close to it. As we know, Her Majesty's Inspector of Constabulary continue to say that Essex Police needs to improve, and I don't doubt that. But do I see leadership? Do I see commitment? Do I see resources going into it? Do I see more training? And as I talk to victims and those who provide victim services, what I hear overwhelmingly is that Essex Police are doing well. Could they do better? Almost certainly.
So you feel you're leaving Essex Police, as it were, in a better state?
I really believe so. I think we've uncovered a range of issues that needed dealing with. They're being dealt with. Are we still on a journey? Yes, but I think that's the nature of policing. I think we always are. Crime is changing, communities are changing, and Essex Police must change too.